So this is Baz and Moz and the Global RE Bitcoin podcast. And today we're talking about cryptocurrency and developing the likes. Baz is cooking. He's got his apron on. That's all he's wearing as he stirs the onions here.
Not true.
Making some paneer.
Or something. So the question is, how often does this happen? At least 3 times a year.
At least did you hop in the kitchen and get the apron on?
Yeah.
At least it's 3 times a year. I wonder if we're overstating things there. It's more like
Bitcoin is at an all-time high, well, almost
3 times a decade. Really, if we were to
be more realistic about it. But anyway, there you go.
You're doing a fine job stirring those onions, Baz.
Fantastic.
But we were meant to be talking about cryptocurrency, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And particularly the challenges that one faces in developing this when you're pulling together different teams of workers.
Yeah.
And those tech developers, it's always worked to get them on board with what's going on, and I think they've just had their big meeting.
And you know, with tech development is tough enough as it is in mature technologies. But it's even more difficult in this space because so much of the technology is so immature. I mean, everybody will sell you on what they think that blockchain does, including tech developers that want to get into blockchain. You know, they want to be able to charge premium rates, and so they'll tell you, and they've read something about Ethereum, and they've read something about what can be possible. Everybody's got the same story about, insurance they've implemented, and you miss your flight and you get your money immediately. Woo, blockchain, But at the end of the day, there are so few people that have knowledge about this, so few people who are current. And we're talking about so few people who are current about the possibilities on the platform. Forget about so few people who have actually implemented these things, So here you are, you're wrestling, you found some really, smart guys who are willing to go out and implement these things. And if you're really lucky, you found some guys who actually have good hardcore software development experience. And then if you're even more lucky, you found some people who are willing to document what they do. I know, that's just the holy grail of the tech world. Find a techie that's willing to document what he or she does.
It's the holy grail of all software development, isn't it?
Exactly. It's so difficult to get somebody to actually write down what they did for you. It's not something I've experienced I guess all professions do it to a certain degree. But the problem with Ethereum and all these other things is that guy's got to be current, and then he's got to be good at implementing software, right? So it's tough. Suppose you're stuck with people that you're working with that you're having difficulty. You know what? It's going to be difficult to go find new developers. Have fun getting guys who will do blockchain Ethereum stuff for you, good quality code, getting guys who will test it. It's just it's a really new area. And the amazing thing about this area is it's really new, and it's not like American Express is they're doing it on the back end, but some of this really cutting edge stuff is what Goldman Sachs is probably doing in its skunk works, and they're willing to pay lots of money. Here you have a situation where all this can we turn on the fan on this thing?
Sure. Yeah.
All this decentralized stuff is happening. Everybody wants to build an app, but this is not like Web 2.0. Everybody's building an app that deals with money. We have fintech. So the potential car crash issues are just an order of magnitude more than the last time there was a bubble. Right? The last time there was a bubble, we were having pets.com. We were having people selling stuff on the net, putting up web pages, Here we have people selling stuff, putting up web pages, but it's all to do with money. So it's so much more high risk, I think. And it's
if we take a case study that you mentioned, the Goldman Sachs that are interested in getting into this space, that probably have their project managers. They've probably got 5 project managers working on crypto projects, and teams beneath those managers. They're probably working with Microsoft Project Manager or one of these integrating where they report in, a developer reports in time, and that's pushed into like a project. Or a part of a project which has lag and lead times, and it's a deliverable that at some end spits out, and you start off with another project, another phase in the project.
Yeah.
For the small to medium-sized organisation, that doesn't have this kind of resource. Do you have any tips for how to synchronize tech development?
Well, the main thing is documenting what you do, right? Even if you have a small team and a small company, when you take off one hat and put on another hat, you really have to actually write down what was done, what we're going to do. And even if you don't say it's going to be done in 2 weeks, or we're going to hold you responsible, we're going to send you daily updates. No. That's not as relevant as understanding what we did, what we plan to do. Try to think ahead about what you want to do. Write down those things, and then see, are we hitting our metrics? What are the problems? Because if you don't know what you did, it's going to be so difficult later on. If things break, you won't know what you covered even.
So that's the analytic perspective. Looking at in the rearview mirror, what did we do wrong? It's not actually helping you in the here and now.
No, it is, because, for example, in your software, so you've changed an environment variable, you've changed something, you've gone to the cloud and you've changed something. And you need to know what tests did you run before, what tests have broken, so you can isolate what. Suppose you have no idea what you tested last month. Well, then you have no idea how to isolate what might be broken because of an environment change now.
Right, so you're talking specifically about the testing situation there.
But I'm not talking about, it can be user acceptance testing, it can be any kind of testing, because your environment variables can be, I sit in front of a screen with Safari, I sit in front of a screen with Chrome, I put this value in, this is what changed, this was the supposed improvement that they came up with,
Okay, right. So document, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it is never going to be, it's never going to hurt you.
No.
People will say, oh, it'll slow us down. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? The guys who don't know enough about their stuff, the guys who don't document can't know for themselves what they've done, and they don't have the ability to communicate it to others.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you've got to just be a little critical of people who refuse to document things and they hand it over to you, because that's just in addition to, it's a lack of professionalism, a lack of respect for who they're giving the stuff to. But
Gotcha. You want a bit of salt in there, man?
You don't need the salt in right now. You don't put the salt in there.
Yes, Maestro. Baz, what are your thoughts on multi-site teams here? So you guys, you've been in India up until recently, but you'll be back to Canada soon.
Yeah.
And we've got folk in different corners of the world. What are your tips for getting these people on the same page, getting them to produce something of?
That's another thing. I mean, if you document deliverables for other people, you don't have to be in the same time zone as them, right? If you're able to do that, if you can hand off requirements and tasks lists and to-dos to people, that's something that's doable. You're not dependent on always being on the phone with somebody. What we're doing is we're working with Google Docs. We're sharing work tasks online, but we could do more of that by handing off tasks to each other, mechanizing it, because it is so difficult to talk to people around the world constantly. It's so difficult to, if you can say, okay, you're promising this to me by Tuesday, and in your mind, you're just feeling a little happier because there's something that's been set as a direct line. It shouldn't be that you have to talk to somebody on Saturday and then on Sunday and then on Monday and then on Tuesday to get them to do something on Tuesday, by Tuesday for you. It shouldn't be that.
No. But you can't deny it. There's something, you get a more of a sense of affirmation when you talk to someone on the other end of the line and they say, okay, this is coming, or I'll be done with this so you can take it over there, rather than just receiving a pop-up box in your email, in your inbox, that something's done. Yeah. There is a unifying aspect to having the Skype meeting.
I agree.
It's an interesting, a mix of two medium there.
Yeah, and
have you heard of the media richness theory, by the way?
No, what is that?
Media richness theory, and actually this is very important for tech development, that the message should define which media you use. So if I have a very simple thing that I want to say to you, Baz, get your hair cut. Well, that's a bit more complex actually, because it's more of an identity thing. You think about your hair.
Yeah.
Baz's hair is quite short at the moment.
Yeah.
But if I said, Baz, I want you to wear your jacket tomorrow because it's going to be cold. It's not a very personal message. It's nothing. It's just going to be something that, if you don't have a thermometer in your house, I'm taking quite a tangent here, aren't I? If you don't have a thermometer in your house, you need to know that it's going to be cold. So you're going to be better wearing your jacket. You're going to wake up. You're going to go before you go outside. You're going to put on your jacket. It's a very simple message. We can do that through. I could write a little note to you and leave it on the kitchen table. That's doable. If I want to say something that's really going to like the haircut, or something that's going to really mess with your sense of identity, I don't write a little note and leave it on the table.
Yes, and so you've got tools like Slack that allow people to communicate in real time and give that more personal type of communication, right? Or what we're doing is we're using Telegram, right? We're sending notes across. We're sharing using Telegram. That allows us to have a much more off the cuff communication style.
Yep. So we're media richness experts, aren't we?
Yeah, I guess. Well, we're not doing Slack, although one of the guys wanted to do it because he was a techie. Slack is a sort of a channel which allows this sort of communication for teams across the world, and in fairness, it works well. It's just that the reason I didn't go with it was because the thought of trying to drag you and Ali onto that would have been even tougher than trying to do it on Telegram or WhatsApp. Even though the developers would have liked that,
Gotcha.
And the other thing about Telegram is it is secure. Slack is not secure. Right? Telegram is encrypted end to end. So if you're doing commercially sensitive decision making and you're doing it in a chat, maybe you want to do Telegram with disappearing messages.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about my ability with this frying these onions. I maybe should have chopped them a little finer. I'm a little worried about that now. That's what's keeping me worried. Not more than development time.
The big questions. This is what we're talking about. Are these onions too grossly diced?
Yes.
It's lucky we've got you on these big questions. Shall we say farewell and we'll get back to these onions?
Yes, I think so. Farewell.
Ciao.